Hey guys, welcome back to Woods Tree Farm. I'm Phil, and if you've been following my channel for any amount of time here recently, you already know that I'm trying to aggressively grow my firewood business, and I got in all these logs, which I've been working on like crazy for the past several days. My back hurts, my arms hurt, my legs hurt. I've gone through numerous chainsaw chains and several gallons of gas with my splitter, and I feel like I'm not making any progress. Logs on logs on logs on logs. I've gotten 10 triaxle dump truck loads, and this is more than I've ever had on hand, and this is actually only about half of what I'll need to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish in this upcoming year. So I need to get through this stuff in a hurry, and what I've been doing is not working. There's got to be a better way. What we have here is the Dina SC15. I almost said 16. That's their next model up. But you don't see many of those out there on the rental market. At least I didn't in my area. So this machine is capable of handling, I think, up to a 22-inch log. I don't really have anything that big. In fact, I have a lot of really small stuff, you know, 6, 8, 10-inch stuff. And with a 6-way wedge on this thing, we are going to blow through a lot of that stuff. And my real goal with renting this machine is just to break down my firewood into more manageable sizes and to minimize the amount of chainsaw work that I need to do. I feel that's the slowest part of the process for me, is handling the logs and bucking it up. So this should make quick work of that. Whatever comes off the other end, I'm less concerned about, because I know I can resplit anything that needs to be resplit very quickly with my split force vertical splitter. And in case you were wondering, that took me about 25 minutes to get set up all by myself, and it would have been a lot quicker if I had a good level spot. I thought this spot was reasonably level, and I had to do quite a bit of leveling on the machine, but it is all set up now, so we can get the tractor, get some logs, and get to work. This first deck full kind of represents the kind of wood that I have. So we've got a lot of 10-inch or so stuff like this. I've got a lot of smaller stuff. And then there's one bigger log. My tractor actually just barely lifted this one up onto the log deck. So this one has a pretty big taper, so the rest of the log's not as big as this one. And then there's a nice, maybe 10, 12-inch red oak right here. So let's get this thing fired up. I'm excited. All right, I got through that first deck of wood and not too bad. If you see what came off of there, I've got a lot of work to do in resplitting, and I knew this was gonna happen, but it's okay. The biggest piece was the only one that I had to hit twice, the one that had that heavy taper on the bottom of the log. And the pieces that came off of the top of that 6-way wedge are quite large. So some of that I'll actually have to break up into probably 4 or 5 more pieces to get the nice small fireplace size pieces that I like to produce. So far operating the machine has been pretty intuitive, you know, figuring out the motions and getting in a little routine with it, having some muscle memory on the controls. I'm not there yet through this first deck. I'm sure I'll get there by the end of today. But the only gripe that I have so far is that the push block is not an auto return, so it gets to the end of its stroke and pops out, and I have to force it back. And there was more than one occasion I had to catch myself and put that back before I dropped the saw down and cut another block off. There was actually one time I did cut a block off and it fell down on top of the push block, and fortunately I caught it before I sent it on the return stroke, because there's an opportunity for that block to get caught up and bend or break something if it's there on top of the push block when you try to return it. So that's kind of the only hiccup that I've experienced so far. And other than that, it seems pretty nice. I could tell if I was doing this for a long period of time, I'd probably want some kind of chair or something. I'm getting lazy. But that little pile of wood right there was all done without lifting a chainsaw, which I like a lot. And as much as I like running chainsaws, this is a lot of work out here. So let's go get some more. Keep after it. I just ran into my first little hiccup. I was running some small diameter stuff through there, and it kind of rolled or twisted or whatever and ended up kind of throwing the chain. So I think the chain was plenty tight. In fact, I can't even by hand get the chain back on there, but I just think there was so much pressure on it that it caused it to throw off the bar there. So we've got to loosen this block here. There's a chain tension adjustment on the back we can play with, and then get it back on the track, tighten it back up. Should be pretty straightforward. We actually got this machine early. My rental wasn't supposed to start until tomorrow, but they let me get it early. I still have a 3-day rental, but not days by calendar. They're going for 8 hours on the meter per rental day. So I have 24 hours of use, and it is breezy today. And this is what we got done in 2 hours today. That was loading the log deck 4 times, and initially I was going rather slow. Now I think I got the hang of it, so tomorrow when I come, I'll be able to just get this thing running. And I think what I'm gonna do before I head out today is actually just push this pile over a little bit, and that'll lengthen the time before we have to move the machine. That conveyor can still go higher, but I'm going to build as big of a pile here as we can, and then the machine's angled in the way that it is because I think I can just swing the tongue over that way, and we'll build a new pile over here next to it. And once that's mounted up, then we'll have to pull the machine forward and build a new pile. But I'm probably going to have 4 or 5 piles before my 3-day rental is done. We'll just have to see how it goes. All right, because this is a multi-day rental and I'm going to publish this video as quickly as I can, you guys will have a chance to ask some questions, and I can follow up in future videos and show you anything that I need to follow up on based on some of your questions. So you guys let me know what you want to see this machine do, or what kind of questions you have about it, and I'll do my best to incorporate that into my follow-up video. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today, guys. I'm excited to work through all these logs that are over my shoulder behind the tractor over there, and bring you guys lots more content of this thing in action. So until next time, hope you have a good one. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.